You opened your bank app again. It's 11:47 p.m. You know you shouldn't, but something pulls you there. The same sick curiosity that makes people slow down next to an accident. The numbers look almost right. Almost. There's enough until the 5th of the month if nothing unexpected happens. And you tell yourself, it won't. You've been telling yourself that for 4 years. Here's what nobody says out loud. The guys who are truly broke, the ones with real financial emergencies, the ones who can't cover their rent, at least they know they have a problem. They feel the fire. They have no choice but to face it. But you earn well. You have a stable government job. You've passed the exam, you have the badge, you have the pension locked in. And somehow, you still feel that invisible tightness every time the month stretches past the 20th. That's not a financial problem. That's something deeper. And that's exactly what this video is about. There's a man I want you to meet. His name is Rodrigo. He's 34, federal employee, 8 years in service. Earns our $7,800 a month after taxes. Lives in a rented apartment in a decent neighborhood. Drives a 2019 car with 24 installments left. Has a girlfriend who earns half what he does. 2 streaming services, a gym membership he uses twice a month, a credit card with a $12,000 limit, which he treats, without realizing it, as a financial extension of himself. Rodrigo doesn't consider himself broke. He considers himself tight. There's a difference, he thinks. Broke people can't pay their bills. He always pays his. Broke people have nothing to show. He has a car, an apartment, a career, a retirement fund that nobody can touch. He is not broke, he tells himself. He's just temporarily compressed. The compression has lasted 3 years. I want to tell you something about Rodrigo that he doesn't see yet. The problem isn't the gym membership. It's not the car. It's not even the girlfriend or the streaming services or the restaurant they go to on Saturdays. The problem is something that happened on the inside. Something that locked into place the day he passed his civil service exam and has been silently running the show ever since. Psychologists call it identity income fusion. The moment your income becomes tied to your identity, your spending stops being about what you need and starts being about who you believe you are. Morgan Housel, in The Psychology of Money, describes it with surgical precision. Spending money to show people how much money you have is the fastest way to have less money. But Rodrigo isn't spending to impress. He's spending to confirm, to himself. Every purchase is a small vote for the version of himself he decided to become when he passed that test. The real trap isn't spending too much. It's spending on an identity that was built for someone else's approval. Here's the part that should make you uncomfortable. Rodrigo doesn't talk about money. Not really. His friends don't either. They compare cars and neighborhoods and vacation destinations. Nobody says, I saved 18% of my income last month. That's not a conversation that happens at the table. What happens at the table is the performance of having arrived, of being okay, of belonging. And the cruelest part? Everyone at that table is performing for everyone else. And everyone at that table goes home and opens their bank app at 11:47 p.m. This is what I'm calling just the invisible upgrade contract. It works like this. The moment your income rises, whether it's through a promotion, a position change, passing a higher tier exam, there is an unspoken social expectation that your life must visibly reflect that. You don't sign anything. Nobody tells you this, but the contract exists. It's written in the looks people give when you show up in the same car. In the question, so are you going to move now? In the silence, after you say you're still renting. The invisible upgrade contract says, your income must always be legible on the outside. And the moment you violate it, the moment you earn more but live as if you earn less, you feel something deeply uncomfortable. Not guilt, shame. The fear of being seen as someone who is failing at the one thing a man is supposed to do, provide an escalating standard of existence. This contract is the engine behind the pattern. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Let's go deeper. Because the invisible upgrade contract doesn't operate alone. It has 3 psychological mechanisms feeding it, and most financial content never touches any of them. The first layer, hedonic adaptation. You know this intellectually, but you don't feel it viscerally yet. Hedonic adaptation is the brain's astonishing ability to neutralize pleasure. The new apartment excites you for 6 weeks. The new car for 3 months. The raise, maybe a year. if you're disciplined about not upgrading everything simultaneously. Then the brain recalibrates. The new baseline becomes the floor, and what was once a source of satisfaction becomes simply what you have, not a gift, a right. This is not weakness. This is evolutionary biology. The human brain was designed to return to homeostasis because excitement is metabolically expensive. You can't sustain it. But here's what nobody tells you: the financial consequences of hedonic adaptation compound. Every time you upgrade and the upgrade becomes neutral, you need a bigger upgrade to feel something. The man who was thrilled with his $4,000 salary now earns a $7,800 and feels exactly as compressed as before, because his fixed costs rose to match his expectations, which rose to match his new identity, which rose to match the invisible upgrade contract. Do you see the machine? Question: when did you last feel genuinely satisfied with exactly what you have right now? Not as a stepping stone, but as enough. The second layer, social comparison bias. Leon Festinger's 1954 social comparison theory established something disturbing. Humans don't measure their well-being in absolute terms. We measure it relative to the people around us. This was adaptive in tribal societies where knowing your relative position determined your survival odds. In 2026, it just makes you miserable and broke. Rodrigo doesn't compare himself to the homeless man outside the supermarket. He compares himself to his colleague who just bought an apartment, to the guy from his graduating class who opened a business, to the influencer on his phone whose lifestyle seems achievable just a few paychecks away. His reference group is always slightly above him, and the gap always feels like failure. Here's the thing about reference groups that nobody says directly. You choose them. Not consciously, but you choose them every time you open a particular app, every time you accept a particular social invitation, every time you maintain a particular friendship. Your comparison anxiety is, in part, a curated product of your own attention. Question: who are you actually comparing yourself to? And did you choose that person consciously? Or did they appear in your feed and slowly become your measuring stick? The third layer, the stability trap. This one is specific to men like Rodrigo, men like you possibly. The civil service system, the military hierarchy, the CLT structure with its incremental raises, its tenure bonuses, its pension plan. These are extraordinary inventions for managing risk. They were designed literally to reduce the anxiety of economic uncertainty. And they work. They reduce it. But they also do something else. They teach you, structurally, that the best decision is always the most conservative one. Wait for the promotion. Don't risk the raise. Don't challenge the system that feeds you. Over years of operating inside these structures, the mind develops what we might call a conservative decision bias, a deep-seated tendency to interpret inaction as safety and action as threat. This works brilliantly for your career stability. It is catastrophic for wealth building. Because wealth, real wealth, not the appearance of wealth, but the kind that generates freedom, requires asymmetric risk. It requires making moves that cannot be guaranteed. It requires tolerating the discomfort of uncertainty for long enough that compounding can do its work. And every year you wait, every year you tell yourself, the time isn't right yet, or let me get the quinquenio first, or let me see how the market moves. Every one of those years has a price, not a metaphorical price. A calculable, devastating, compounding price in lost patrimonial time. Question: what decision have you been calling prudent for the last 2 years that is actually just fear wearing a suit? The fourth layer, the narrative of deservingness. I worked hard for this. I passed a difficult exam. I earned this money. I deserve to enjoy it. This narrative is not wrong. It's incomplete. Deserving to enjoy your money is not the same as being obligated to spend it at the rate that your new identity demands. But the invisible upgrade contract has colonized the concept of deserving so completely that enjoying your money has become synonymous with spending it visibly. Consider Rodrigo on a Friday night. He goes out. The bill comes. He pays his share without looking at it. Not because he has infinite money, because looking would mean calculating. And calculating would mean admitting that this restaurant is 3% of his monthly income for one dinner. And admitting that would crack the performance. He pays without looking because looking is for people who can't afford it. And Rodrigo can afford it. He just can't build anything. The gap between "I can afford this" and "This is a good use of my resources," is where most people with stable incomes live their entire financial lives. Comfortable enough to not feel the fire, not free enough to stop performing. The fifth layer, liquidity illusion. This is the most technically dangerous one. Rodrigo has $3,200 in his current account. He has a pension fund that he can't touch for 22 years. He has a car worth approximately $42,000, but only if someone wants to buy it. He has a credit card limit of $12,000 that he mentally counts as a resource, not a liability. His actual liquid wealth, money he can access without penalty, without debt, without a buyer, is $3,200. He lives as if he is a man of significant assets. He is, in liquid terms, 2 missed paychecks away from genuine crisis. This is the liquidity illusion, the psychological tendency to count all forms of stored value as equivalent to cash, when in reality, illiquid assets provide zero protection against near-term disruption. Your pension is real. Your car is real. Your property is real. None of them can pay next month's rent if your income stops tomorrow. Question: if your income disappeared for 90 days starting tomorrow, what would your actual life look like? And how long before the performance becomes impossible to maintain? But here's the thing about these 5 layers. Most people reach this point in the analysis, feel the discomfort, and then do something predictable. They start making a spreadsheet. They cancel one streaming service. They tell themselves they'll invest starting next month. And that's exactly where everything falls apart. Before we go further, I want to tell you about something we built specifically for this moment. Not a course, not a mentorship, not a monthly subscription. It's called the Free Your Mind Kit. Think of what we just mapped: the 5 layers, the invisible upgrade contract, the conservative decision bias. You've just received the intellectual diagnosis. You can name the pattern. That's the first step. But naming it and dissolving it are different operations. The Free Your Mind Kit was designed to take you through both. It has 3 components and they work in sequence. First, the Ebook, the 5 patterns that keep you stuck. 35 pages of psychological financial diagnosis, not tips, not budgeting templates. A forensic map of the exact mental architectures that produce the pattern you just recognized in Rodrigo. You read it once, and you'll never look at your spending the same way. Second, the Cost of Stability Calculator, an interactive tool that runs the actual numbers on your inaction. Not theoretical numbers, your income, your trajectory, your age, your current allocation. It shows you what staying exactly as you are cost you in patrimonial value, in years of freedom, in the version of yourself that never gets built. This is where the intellectual understanding becomes visceral. This is where men feel it. Third, the Free Your Mind series. 3 tracks, 21 days, 7 to 12 minutes each. Audio designed to be listened to when you wake up or before you sleep. The 3 tracks work on identity, value, and action. In that order, because that's the order that actually works. You can read about hedonic adaptation until you're fluent in the terminology. The identity level work is what moves the needle. The ebook creates intellectual awareness. The calculator creates emotional reality. The audios change who you are in relation to money. No course, no monthly fee, lifetime access. The link is in the description, when you're ready. Now, here's where we have to go somewhere uncomfortable. Because I know what some of you are thinking right now. My retirement is guaranteed. I just need to get to the quinquenio. My situation is different. I have a pension, a stable income. I'm not really at risk. I want to sit with that for a moment. You're right that your employment is stable. You're right that the pension is real. But I want you to do something for me. Count the Sundays. Not the weekends, the Sundays specifically. Sunday afternoons, when the silence starts and the weight of Monday begins to accumulate in your chest. When you sit with a beer you don't really want and scroll through your phone to avoid sitting with the thought that is always there, just below the surface. Is this it? The retirement is 22 years away. That's approximately 1,144 Sundays. Each one carrying the same low-grade anxiety, the same performance of contentment, the same careful avoidance of the version of yourself that might want something different. The cost of stability is not measured in money. It's measured in that sensation, in the slow accumulation of unlived versions, in the decisions you didn't make because the structure you're inside of taught you that the most dangerous thing a man can do is want more than the structure is designed to give him. Here's the thing about pension plans that nobody who sells you the stability narrative ever says. They are extraordinarily efficient at replacing income. They are extraordinarily inefficient at replacing freedom. Because freedom, the ability to say no to work you hate, to choose how you spend your time, to build something that belongs entirely to you, that doesn't come from guaranteed income, that comes from accumulated capital that produces returns independent of your labor. Your pension guarantees that you will survive. It does not guarantee that you will have chosen your life. And every year you treat stability as the destination rather than the launch pad. Every year you use the pension as a reason to avoid the harder conversation about what you're actually building. That gap between surviving and choosing widens. The most painful version of this, the man who retires after 35 years of stable employment, looks at his pension statement and realizes that he spent his prime years optimizing for a future he's now arrived at, and it's smaller than the life he told himself he was building toward. Not because the pension is inadequate, because the pension was always the floor, and he treated it as the ceiling. Some of you are 32, some of you are 39. The math is not the same, but the pattern is. And this is the moment, right here, in this discomfort, where men either close the tab or lean in. Rodrigo didn't close the tab. 3 months after the night I described, the bank app at 11:47 p.m., the tight calculation until the 5th, he did something that seemed small, but wasn't. He wrote down on paper one question. What does my money think about my life? He wasn't asking what he should invest in. He wasn't looking for a budget template. He was asking what his financial behavior revealed about who he believed he was and who he was afraid to become. What he found was this. He was spending money to maintain a story, not his story. A story he had inherited from a combination of social expectation, family conditioning, and the implicit cultural contract that says a man who earns well should look like a man who earns well. Every purchase was a payment toward a performance that exhausted him. And the performance had become so automatic that he had lost the ability to distinguish between what he actually wanted and what the character he was playing was supposed to want. This is the real work, not the spreadsheet, not the investment account, though that matters too. The real work is the archaeology of your own desire, excavating what you actually want your life to look like, separated from what you've been performing. Rodrigo started with one decision, not a dramatic financial restructuring, one decision. He stopped eating out on Fridays for 2 months. Not forever, 2 months. And with the money saved, not invested, not tracked in a complex system, just saved, he paid off one installment of the car early. That's it. That's the whole move. But here's what that small move did. It broke the automatic nature of the pattern. It introduced a gap between stimulus and response, between it's Friday, therefore I spend, and a conscious choice. And once you introduce that gap once you prove to yourself that the pattern is a choice, not a law, the identity begins to shift. Not from broke to wealthy, from passenger to driver. The rest follows from that. Here's where I leave you. Not with instructions, not with a list of things to implement this week, with one question. If you designed your financial life from scratch, not from the expectations of the invisible upgrade contract, not from what your colleagues are doing, not from the story you've been living since you passed that exam, but from actual clarity about what freedom looks like for you specifically, what would you stop spending on immediately? Not what you should stop, what you would stop if the performance didn't require it. That answer is the beginning of the real conversation. Go to the comments, write one word, the first word that came to mind when I asked that question. Not an explanation, just the word. Because the men who comment that word are the ones who are actually ready to move. And this community, the mind of value community, is built for exactly that kind of man. Not a man who wants tips, a man who wants to think differently about who he is in relation to money, time, and freedom. That's what this channel is. Subscribe if that's the conversation you want to be part of. And remember, stability is a floor. What you build on it is up to you.